Monster films have always been a staple in the horror genre. They can be set or from anywhere, from the swamps to space. Monster films have always captured audiences. I wanted to have some fun with this list, so some of these are a little bit off the wall. So don't judge me. Here's a list of monster films that range from dark and bleak to ridiculous and fun. Let's cut into it. From Dusk Till Dawn, 1996, directed by Robert Rodriguez, written by Quentin Tarantino, starring George Clooney, Salma Hayek, Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, and Danny Trejo. A pair of American criminal brothers, played by Clooney and Tarantino, aka the Gecko Brothers, take a family as hostages to cross into Mexico, but ultimately find themselves trapped in a saloon, defending against an even darker threat. From Dusk Till Dawn is a gritty grindhouse-style crime action horror with one of the most terrifying takes on vampires in film. If you're a movie buff and you just ran into this playing somewhere, you would know it's a Rodriguez Tarantino project. The design of the saloon in the middle of the Mexican desert is spectacular. A place you want to visit but are terrified to the entire time. And with good reason. Salma Hayek plays the main exotic dancer, Santanico Pandemonium. She changed a lot of teenage lives in the 90s. I'm talking from experience. Once the action kicks in, it is non-stop until the end. It is balls out, brutal vampire killing galore. The practical effects are off the charts. The gore is grotesque and hilarious. Watch the band after they change into vampires to see what I mean. Even the weapons are inventive. It just cool as fuck. The jackhammer wooden stake is chef's kiss, dude. Even with the gore and nightmares vampires, there is humor all throughout the film, but just enough to keep it out of the horror comedy territory. There are too many cameos to even mention, but there are two standouts. That's Tom Savini as Sex Machine with his cock gun, and Cheech Marin, who actually plays 3 different characters in the film. There's something about vampires in the desert that fits so well for me. This film, Near Dark, and John Carpenter's Vampires. I love all of them. There's a nod throughout the film to the legend of the Mexican bat god Camazotz that kind of adds a realness and gives it even more of an edge. From Dusk Till Dawn is a 90s classic. If you love vampire films and somehow haven't seen this already, then after this video that you liked and subscribed to, go watch it. I hardly hear anybody talk about this next film, and I do not know why. The people that do seem to know it seem to love it, and I am definitely one of those people. I'm talking about Frankenstein's Army, 2013. This is directed by Richard Rapphorst, starring Carl Roden and Han Ping Tang. In the dying days of World War II, a battalion of Russian soldiers is lured into a secret lab of a deranged scientist and forced to face off against an army of horrific flesh and metal war machines. Frankenstein's Army is a film that I always mention when I'm drawn into the conversation about practical effects. It's amazing just how many great, horrifying monsters there are in this film. Richard Rapphorst doesn't have many directorial credits to his name, and honestly, that stuns me. He really grabs the feeling of chaos while still able to show off the wonderful scenery and sets. I couldn't find a number on what the film cost, but it obviously wasn't a big budget movie, and the amount of amazing work they achieved with such a small budget in the Czech Republic is astounding. It's shot in a found footage format and feels like the most badass first-person shooter horror game of all time. And I tend to really dislike video game movies, but if they were like this, I would change my mind. Carl Roden is a terrific Frankenstein. As crazy as you know he obviously is, he sort of lulls you into trusting him before he shows his true depravity. Fun fact, Carl Roden also played Rasputin in the Hellboy movies. This film is gory, fast-paced, and one that I highly recommend checking out if you are a fan of monster movies. Yeah. Ooh, baby, I like it raw. RawHead Rex, 1986. This is directed by George Pavlou, starring David Dukes, Kelly Piper, and Hugh O'Connor. An ancient creature called RawHead is awakened from its slumber near an Irish village and goes on a rampage, killing anyone in sight. RawHead Rex is based on a novelette by Clive Barker, but it is quite toned down from the original story. I almost didn't use this on the list in case I wanted to add it to a folk horror video, but my man Rex is a hell of a movie monster. The hawk mullet, swole as fuck, and nips for days. Like a lot of the directors on this list, George Pavlou does not have many credits to his name. He does a great job capturing the rural Irish countryside. That gives it a real folk horror feel. The humor is spaced throughout the film and keeps it fun and light. Rex smashes everything up. Got a kitchen? Rex hates it. Got an RV? Rex hates it. And of course, you get the clueless rural police who can't seem to buy a lead. Our main character is Howard Hallenbeck, an American researcher of religious material. He's played by David Dukes, and he just happens to show up as locals fuck up a local pagan site and release our demon Rex. Then all hell ensues. Even Rex eating Howard's son. When you're swole, you gotta keep that protein intake on point, son. One thing to remember when you watch this is that it's the 80s, so be forgiving with the CGI effects. They are less than great. It can be a little rough. Luckily, it's not too often. This film has a few lessons that I think everybody should learn. 1, don't fuck with a big monolithic stone. 2, don't trust the clergy. And 3, women pretty much fix everything. If you're a fan of monsters and folk horror, RawHead Rex is a great film to game prep and put on for a fun Friday night. The Monster Squad, 1987. Directed by Fred Decker, starring Andre Gower, Stephen Macht, and John Grease. A group of 12-year-olds form a Universal Monsters fan club called the Monster Squad and attempt to save their hometown from Count Dracula and his fellow monsters when they show up for real. If you're as old as I am, then you definitely watched this in the 80s. Looking back on it now, I'm realizing just how problematic the dialogue is, especially in the beginning. It totally makes it sink in just how little our parents actually gave a fuck. But the number of kids squads running loose doing danger and shit kind of movies in the 80s is astounding anyway. It was no wonder why we had the "It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are" commercials. Besides the cringeworthy dialogue,
I will have your son.
Nope, don't like it. The Monster Squad is a fun 80s time capsule. Fred Decker sets a great tone with random scenes that have a very classic horror, drive-in Americana feel. Decker had also released Night of the Creeps a year earlier, so he was on a bit of a roll. Special effects legend Stan Winston does an amazing job bringing these characters into the 80s. Dracula has a very simple, classic look. Frankenstein has more of a natural skin tone, and I think that helps. Plus, Tom Noonan brings such a great performance to a very limited speaking role. The Wolfman has an updated but still classic vibe. This version of the Wolfman also has some differences involving werewolf lore as well, like regenerating after being blown up. The Mummy and the Gillman take the cake, in my opinion. Very classic styling, but updated to look very realistic and probably too scary for a children's movie. But in 1987, kids didn't get a pass. Look at films like Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, Neverending Story, and Legend. We weren't spared. Hell, the middle school character Rudy has a scene where he's making silver bullets in the school shop class and putting them in his pack of cowboy killers that's just sitting openly on a bench. Talk about no fucks given. The Monster Squad is pure nostalgia. You get the quintessential 80s getting ready for the monsters montage, and you can't miss the cheesy ending that leads into the era-appropriate white man rap. This next monster may be the scariest on the list. Maybe. If not, it's pretty high up there. Pumpkinhead, 1988. Directed by Stan Winston, starring Lance Henriksen, Jeff East, and John D'Aquino. After a tragic accident, a man conjures up a towering, vengeful demon called Pumpkinhead to destroy a group of unsuspecting teenagers. Of course, you are going to get one of the most recognizable movie monsters in film history when you have Stan Winston at the helm. Most of his directing credits are from music videos, but Stan really hit a home run with Pumpkinhead. I think the scenes of Ed Harley, played by Lance Hendrickson, going to see Haggis, the old witch of the woods, are some of the best filmed witch's house scenes ever created. Stan was originally asked to create the Pumpkinhead suit, and he agreed, but only if he could direct the movie. Tom Woodruff Jr. wore the suit, but also worked under Stan and helped create the creature. I think a huge part of the success of this film is because it was a passion project for Stan and his whole team, and that definitely shows. Lance Henriksen was cementing his name in horror at the time, and his performance absolutely helped elevate this movie. The set design is top-notch, and if you've ever lived out in the middle of nowhere, then you will appreciate the setting. This is a film that every horror fan should see, and if you can, own. I think it's fair to say that Pumpkinhead is a staple monster movie. This next film is a little silly, but honestly, it's so much fun. I haven't heard many people talk about this, and I don't know why, but the ones I do, either you love it or you hate it. I'm talking about Deathstalker 2025. It's directed by Steven Kostaski, starring Daniel Bernhardt, Patton Oswalt, and Christina Orhalo. Deathstalker steals an amulet off a dying soldier on a battlefield, unknowing of the significance of the artifact. He is chased by horrific monsters trying to steal the amulet, and this leads to an epic journey to a prophesied sword. Deathstalker 2025 is a reimagining of the 1983 B-movie classic. This director is also known for Psycho Goreman, and he brings that fun take on creature design into Deathstalker. These monsters are a bit darker, but they look so perfect for this film. The evil creatures are called Dreadites, so it does not hide the fact that it has a huge influence from The Evil Dead. Even the main character has an Ash Williams vibe. Patton Oswalt is the voice of the wizard Doodad. He is such a great choice for this nerdy, light role. Daniel Bernhardt was meant to play a medieval warrior. His performance is pretty versatile, and he has some humorous moments when he isn't smashing shit up. This movie is what Hercules the show wished it could have been. I love films set in a medieval magical world, and this one isn't the best at that, but it's pretty damn good. Great practical effects, humor, and fun fight scenes make this version of Deathstalker a great film to sit back after a hard day at work and just zone out to. Wishmaster 1997, directed by Robert Kurtzman, starring Andrew Divoff, Tammy Lauren, Angus Scrimm, and Robert Englund. Awakened from a centuries-long imprisonment within a red opal after an accident at the dockyard, the Jinn stalks the modern world, offering unsuspecting victims their heart's deepest desires, only to twist their exact words into blood-soaked realities. As a gemologist, Alexandra Amberson frantically pieces together the creature's ancient origins, she realizes she is the Jinn's ultimate target. Wishmaster is a campy, cameo-packed, amazing time with a drive-in B-movie type vibe, and honestly a great 90s aesthetic. When Robert Kurtzman directs a film, you automatically know the practical effects are going to be amazing. Andrew Divoff nails the role of the Jinn. The voice is ridiculous, but I wouldn't change it even slightly. The Jinn has such an original, cool-ass design. The kills are sticky, gory, and intelligently thought up. It keeps the movie fun and surprisingly light. There are cameos by Tony Todd, Kane Hodder, Reggie Bannister, and Ted Raimi. Oh, and I can't forget legendary character actor Buck Flower. The CGI in this movie is its biggest flaw, by far. But it's so bad it's comical, and you will actually look forward to these scenes. Wishmaster isn't going to be called fine cinema anytime soon, but will definitely cause some fun conversations after a couple of drinks. An American Werewolf in London, 1981. Directed by John Landis, starring David Naughton, Jenny Agutter, and Griffin Dunn. Two American college students are on a walking tour of Britain when they're attacked by a werewolf whose existence is consistently denied by the locals. Okay, so I know most of us have seen An American Werewolf in London. I get that. But I felt like I had to at least put one werewolf film on here. And there is none better in my eyes than this film. This is the werewolf film. It was groundbreaking in practical effects, and John Landis bringing his style of filmmaking into horror just changes the game. Effects icon Rick Baker really went above and beyond in this movie. The Nazi werewolf nightmare, the transformation scene, the werewolf loose on the London streets still blows my mind to this day. For me, this is what a werewolf should look like, which I'm sure it's because I watched this as a child and it all looked so real and so perfect that it set the bar, and that's almost an impossible bar to top. David Naughton gives a great performance. He sells the psychosis of his slow turn into a werewolf, but manages to grab the humor in the scenes as well. Griffin Dunne has a great dry humor and gets even better as a ghost. John Landis may not be the best human, but the man could make a beautiful movie and has always known how to capture a cityscape. This is true horror cinema that's still accessible and fun. This is honestly a hard thing to do and is one of the main reasons you should watch this film. It'll make you appreciate Warren Zevon's Werewolves of London even that much more. He'll rip your lungs out, Jim. And this one tops them all. The Thing, 1982. Directed by John Carpenter, starring Kurt Russell, Keith David, and Wilford Brimley. A research team in Antarctica is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims. I had to end this with The Thing. These monsters are so original and iconic that they should be on everyone's monster list. Rob Bottin balled the fuck out for The Thing. The creature design and the gore are next level. They seem so unnatural and something that you don't even understand how it could morph into that end creature. But that is what sells it as an alien. The lack of any human or earthly sense. And Rob was 22 fucking years old when he did this. At 22, I was working at a restaurant, and my favorite pastime was seeing how many Jaeger bombs I could hammer back in a night. This movie was a box office bomb when it was released. And that just makes me think, what the fuck were boomers and elder Gen Xers doing? How did you fumble this so hard? The cast is amazing. Like many other John Carpenter films, we have Kurt Russell and Keith David. How could you go wrong with them, right? They are obviously the standouts of the movie, but the supporting cast is more than solid. John knows how to set a feel for his films. It's frigid and bleak, just unforgiving and isolated.
I can feel it all the way down in my plums.
The suspense of who is the alien shows the ugliness of humanity and how, if put to the test, survival's everything. I love that the ending is so bleak and that you have no idea if MacReady or Childs are the alien. There are so many reasons why this film is so many horror fans' favorite movie. Hell, the X-Files have an episode clearly inspired by this film. And it's a great episode, by the way. Watch all of John Carpenter's films if you haven't, not just because they are wonderful, but also for the history. See just how many pop references are taken from his films and just how much of an influence he is on the filmmakers that came after. I hope you enjoyed my monster movie list. If so, please like and subscribe. And if not, then please like and subscribe anyhow. Comment and let me know your favorite monster movies. Until next time, remember, the kill floor is always running.